Hi, I'm Lawrence, the instructor of Soc AO3, Introduction to Sociology, at the University of Toronto Scarborough. And in this video, I'm going to teach you 5 foundational theoretical schools which shape how sociologists view the world. The first is functionalism, spearheaded by Auguste Comte, and then followed through by key figures such as Emile Durkheim and Talcott Parsons. This theoretical school emphasizes how social institutions operate best when they're in sync. Responding to the emergence of Enlightenment values such as autonomy and free will, as well as the corresponding social upheavals that arguably these may have caused, such as the French Revolution in the case of Durkheim, where faith in the state or nation greatly diminished, while the significance of individual choice greatly amplified. These thinkers argued that the primary cause of individuals' pain and misfortune stem from the unsynchronized functioning of their society's core institutions, such as the economy, the family, and faith-based institutions. For these thinkers, while social change can indeed be desirable, one must first look at the entire social system, almost like a body, before considering change. What latent or unintended impacts might a change in, say, physician-assisted suicide have in society? Might it impact the family? Always asking questions such as these, when considering social change, leads these thinkers to often be deemed conservative, as they are by definition interested in conserving the equilibrium held between the many institutions that provide the foundation and, in Durkheim's words, the social facts on which individuals' multitude of actions depend. Another way you can understand how sociologists view the world is by looking through the lens of conflict theory. Traced back to the work of Karl Marx and Friedrich Engels, and further refined by thinkers such as Antonio Gramsci, conflict theory responds to functionalism by stating that social change must be emphasized due to the presence of competition and inequality across the world. Marx, for instance, challenged key thinkers of his day for remaining in the realm of philosophy. With a growing divide between the haves and have-nots in his contemporary London, he found it quite hypocritical for members of the financial and intellectual elite to often frame individual pain and suffering as separate from factors like lack of access to meaningful work, if not just not brutal work, and education for the bulk of individuals. This theme of criticism of the status quo was carried further in the 20th century by the key sociologist C. Wright Mills. Mills coined the term the sociological imagination to begin a call to arms for sociologists and other interested individuals to raise individuals' consciousnesses to the ways in which society impacts our thoughts, emotions, and opportunities for both happiness and misery. This he framed against the tendency he noted of sociologists of his time to either build up grand theoretical systems on the one hand, hey Parsons, or engage in meticulous but largely meaningless empirical research on the other hand. What he termed grand theorizing and abstract empiricism, respectively. All in all, conflict theorists emphasize the role of social strife in shaping individuals' lives and advocate for a detailed examination of how various institutions, norms, beliefs, and other social factors in a given society come to make this strife more or less causal of inequality and other undesirable outcomes. A third way to understand how sociologists view the world is looking through the lens of symbolic interactionism. Key in this school are the thinkers Max Weber, George Herbert Mead, and Charles Horton Cooley. Responding to both functionalist and conflict theorists, symbolic interactionists take a more pragmatic or practical approach to the social world. How do individuals as individuals interpret their worlds? By talking to people and observing them, we can gain access to their thought processes and, in turn, come to see how the social world shapes thought and action. For example, Erving Goffman examined how individuals framed their experiences according to tacitly held social norms about acceptable and unacceptable behavior. He noted, for example, that individuals would come to accept certain behaviors as totally acceptable in one sphere of their lives, but unacceptable in others. For instance, an individual may tolerate a person scolding them for talking in a lecture hall or opera house, but respond nastily if similarly scolded at a nightclub. Rather than make grand claims about the nature and functioning of society like functionalists, or stake a position grounded in the presence or absence of inequality and conflict like conflict theorists, symbolic interactionists are more interested in how individuals find meaning in their everyday lives, what they term subjective interpretation by way of the use of mental representations. In other words, they're interested in how individuals base their interactions on the symbols and meanings that they have learned through social experience. Well, that brings me to the end of this lesson, but if you want more information about sociological theory, please keep visiting my channel for updates. Our next lesson will focus on how contemporary sociologists have been inspired by functionalism, conflict theory, and symbolic interactionism to develop theories which account for both enduring inequality and the many ways in which societies have and continue to change. Goodbye, and thanks for watching.